Welcome to Atraxa Fungus. As far as our opening hand goes, yeah, we'll keep on this one. I mean, we could try to mulligan for some sort of ramp, but hopefully, with us being on the draw, the magic gods will treat us well and give us that third land for Chromatic Lantern. That would definitely make a huge difference. But yes, welcome to Atraxa Fungus. If you're keeping score at home, it is definitely safe to check on the box. There is a fungus among us. I feel that's very confident. In fact, if you don't believe me, you can see here in just a second. So there we go. Opponent's going to lead off with Tinderwall, and then we'll cover our playing its Maelstrom Wonder, which has been popping up a bunch recently. So we'll see what sort of board state we're going to get into. As far as cracking that fetch, yeah, I think we'll just let's go. We definitely need a green source. So we've got green and white, so let's go and start off with that. Actually, we'll grab a Triome. I think that'll work out. That is going to be, yeah, let's do that. Let's grab the Obzon Triome, and then anything else, we will pass the turn over to our opponent. We're playing Atraxa. Praetors Voice, Flying, Vigilance, Death Touch, and Lifelink. Then, at the beginning of your instep, Proliferate. Playing its Maelstrom Wonder, the man who rides on a horse with no name. And, ooh, Tindershoot Dryad. Okay. So let's go Scalding Tarn. And just so we're online for any sort of, color mana that we draw into. So let's go and crack Scalding Tarn. Let's grab this other Triome. And then anything else, pass it over to our opponent. Playing its Maelstrom Wonder. Creatures you control have haste, then Cascade and Cascade. So we'll see what is coming down for us. Might be, yep, it's going to be a Fact or Fiction. Let's do this. They probably might need lands pretty bad, so let's just give them a 3-land package and have everything else come over there. So let's see what else is coming down. If they have a lot of lands in the hand, they'll probably, yeah, there we go. They needed some land, so that'll work out. So let's get that popped out. And they already played the command tower too, so that feels pretty good. At least get rid of Upheaval and Titania, because that would definitely not be very good for us. So keep our fingers crossed. See if we hit that land for the turn. Oh, beautiful. We certainly do. Let's go and crack Marsh Flats. Get that down, and I don't really think it matters what we grab on this one. At least grab another green source. Let's get this popped out. Let's grab ourselves a green-white. So yeah, Savannah is going to be perfect for this. Let's go for Chromatic Lantern. There we go. Anything else? Let's go and pass the turn over to our opponent. So we did cover both commanders. Give a quick shout out to our sponsors. TCG Player. If you go to bit.ly/Jolt MTG, that will apply my affiliate link. That'll allow you to get some cards and help support the channel at the same time. In fact, if you enjoy my content outside of being a patron, that is one of the best ways to do it, and it costs you nothing. All you gotta do is click on that link, and either click on the link or click on the deck link down in the description below, and you are good to go. And that is going to be a Dak Faden stealing our Chromatic Lantern. Oh no. Let's see what we rip into. And I don't think they made one of the land drops for the turn. All right, so that's going to be Thallid. So yeah, I guess at this point we'll just get some of these spores going. That's going to be Elvish Farmer. Yeah, I think that'll work out. So let's go for Elvish Farmer. And that'll still tap down green. It's going to be Elvish Farmer. Let's go for Thallid. And at least we can get some spore counters going. That'll work out for us. Let's go for one more green. It's going to be Thallid, and then anything else, pass it over to our opponent. But yeah, be sure to check that link out. Also, let's give a quick shout out to MTGOTraders. If you're looking to play Commander online, MTGOTraders has all of your digital cards needs covered. Also, let's give a quick shout out to inkgaming.com. If you go to inkgaming.com/Jolt, that'll give you a 10% discount and be able to check out some of my Mad Neon playmat series that I designed. And last but not least, I started a Patreon. So, I started a Patreon. So, if you'd like to directly support cool content like this, there's a link down in the description below. But if you're keeping score at home, it is officially free time. And by free time, we're probably going to see Maelstrom Wonder coming down. One of the downsides to trying to record Atraxa is that Atraxa is a good commander. You know, you can go Super Friends. There's a lot of different things that you can take Atraxa in. But when you play Atraxa Spores, it is like you're pretty much sitting, and the opponent's going to go for an extra turn. When you're doing Atraxa Spores, you're basically just saying like, hey, we're never going to get past like the power level of like C or B. There will be some random times to where you end up with this beautiful board state. Nobody has board wipes or interaction, and you can get a lot of stuff going. But Atraxa Fungus is definitely one of those commander decks that is very, very much casual. Now, we do have an optimized deck, but everything in here is going to allow us to ramp really quick or really kind of get a lot of those sapling tokens on the battlefield. But outside of that, even getting the sapling tokens down, it is definitely one of those. It's a hard mode deck, so we'll see if we can assemble some sort of win against against this, but we got double Cascade coming down, and that's going to be a Jace. And our opponent goes for Ren and 6 and pops our Thallid, which that's a bummer. All right, so they're gonna swing it for 7. I just love Ren and 6 creepy treeman coming onto the battlefield and being like, nah. Get rid of that Thallid over there. Okay, so we get 1 Spore counter. We rip into a Godless Shrine. I guess... Oh, we can still shock this in and get something. They only have 1 card in their hand. Let's go and shock. Yeah, we'll definitely go and pay 2 life on this one. Let's just go for Atraxa. I think that's going to give us the best bet. Because that's going to allow us to start trying to clean up some of these planeswalkers. So let's go for Atraxa. We'll see if they have any sort of spot removal. And there we go. Let's tap down this last one for blue. There we go. Tap down for black. And we're going to have Atraxa enter the battlefield. So anything else? So this is going to be a... Oh, man. Oh, sometimes you get punched in the face. Let's put Atraxa back into the command zone. And... let's go ahead and swing in at Ren and 6. Let's see if our opponent wants to block with Summerworld Sage. We'll see if we'll get the block from them or not. And then anything else, we will pass the turn back over there. So, yeah, the 1 card we would probably not want to see when we're trying to cast Atraxa with 1 card left in their hand would definitely be Mana Drain. But they got more than enough mana. So, we'll probably go ahead and... say that Maelstrom Wonder is going to get it on this one. We'll let them swing in next turn, kind of get this turn going. But unless we run into extra mana and a Cyclonic Rift somehow, I don't think we're going to be able to fight our way out of this one. So let's let them get this going. All right, so our opponent's going to knock us all the way down to 0, and that is going to be 21 total damage from their commander. So good game to our opponent. Unfortunately, that deck Fade and Steel and Chromatic Lantern definitely didn't do us any favors, but also when you've got pretty good Super Friends deck against Atraxa Fungus, it is not that good. So I'm afraid some of these videos may end up looking like that. We'll give it one more shot, but I'll see you in the next video. All right, bye. Welcome to Atraxa Fungus. As far as our opening hand goes, yes, we will keep on this one. Definitely keep this opening hand. We have Mana Crypt and also have Chromatic Lantern, Command Tower, and a Fetch Land to grab whatever land that we need. So we'll definitely worry about getting those extra colors for Atraxa, but this is definitely going to allow us to get off to a very nice Fungus start. So in fact, if you're keeping score at home, I'm fairly certain that there is a Fungus among us. So you can definitely check that box on your score sheet. Let's go and lead off with Command Tower. I'm not saying our opponent's going to scoop, but I think we'll just still go and go for it. So let's go and go for Mana Crypt. Let's go and go for Chromatic Lantern. And let's see if this is good or not. So we'll get down to Chromatic Lantern, and then anything else, pass it over to our opponent. We're playing Atraxa Fungus. Flying, Vigilance, Death Touch, and Lifelink. Then, at the beginning of your instep, Proliferate, playing against the Gitrog monster himself, Death Touch. At the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice the Gitrog monster. Unless you sacrifice a land, you may play an additional land on each of your turns. Then, whenever 1 or more land cards are put into your graveyard from anywhere, draw a card. And our opponent said, hey, grab Mana Crypt and Chromatic Lantern. Check this out. We got Azusa into Ancient Tombs. So no wonder our opponent didn't scoop. They're like, all right, cool. So it is, it's always nice when you're playing Commander and you end up with a quick little board state like this. And your opponent has the same thing too. So that's always kind of nice. Let's go and choose Tails on this Mana Crypt. Lost the flip. We are 0 for 1 on those Mana Crypt triggers. And then we draw into Demonic Tutor. So let's go ahead and make the land drop for the turn. That's going to be Marsh Flats. At this point right now, we could be looking at spot removal for our opponent, but I think what we'll probably end up going for is some Tindershoot Dryad. I think that sounds like a pretty good plan. So let's go Tindershoot Dryad. One of the good things about this deck is we want to get a lot of sapling tokens on the battlefield. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3. There we go. Let's get down Tindershoot Dryad, and then anything else, pass it over to our opponent. Yes, technically it's Sapro Ling, but that just... the R is kind of weird to me, so if you hear sapling token, that's what I'm calling it. So we did cover both commanders. Give a quick shout out to our sponsors, TCG Player. If you go to bit.ly/Jolt MTG, that will apply my affiliate link. That'll allow you to get some cards and help support the channel at the same time. In fact, if you enjoy my content, outside of being a patron, that is one of the best ways to support the channel, and it costs you nothing. You can click on the link down below, visit that link, or actually click on the deck link down in the description to apply that affiliate link. Also, let's give a quick shout out to MTGOTraders. If you want to play Magic Online, They have all the digital cards that you may need. Just give a quick shout out to inkgaming.com. If you go to inkgaming.com/Jolt, that'll give you a 10% discount. And you'll be able to check out some of my designed Mad Neon Playmat series. So pretty nifty. Let's go for Tendershoot Dryad. And we did get Tendershoot Dryad to stick around, which is going to be a pretty nice feeling. So I'm just going to choose Tails on this Mana Crypt trigger. Lost the flip. I think we're 0 for 2 on those, if I am correct. And see what we draw into. Draw into Palette. Okay, so at this point we don't have, well, actually, no, excuse me, we do have 4 pieces of color for Atraxa. So at this point, what do we actually want to do? So we're staring down a Gitrog monster at this point. We do have Demonic Tutor. That's going to allow us to grab one of our sources. The only thing is we don't have a Spore counter creature other than just Pallid. So let's do that. So let's actually get Pallid on the battlefield. One of the things about Fungus, and we'll talk about it here in just a second, that's going to be 1, 2, 3. Yeah, there's nothing else that we can do. We can try to Demonic Tutor for another land source, but we're still kind of progressing our board state, so I think this will work out. And then we'll actually talk about what these different spores do for the deck. Ink Gaming, and then, yeah, we're not going to swing into that. Last but not least, I started a Patreon, so if you'd like to directly support cool content like this, there's a link down in the description below. But if you are keeping score at home on your Fungus Among Us scorecard, it is officially free time, so we're going to have some fun. So what are we doing with an Atraxa deck? You know, most of the Atraxa stuff you see is going to be, you know, Super Friends, because you can proliferate really easy. I love playing Fungus decks. Fungus decks are a lot of fun, and Atraxa actually does make playing Fungus just a little bit easier, because when you're playing Fungus, it's, unless you're just going like combo Fungus, which this is definitely not that, this is just value board state Fungus, it is really hard to get any sort of value assembled on your side of the battlefield, because you have a lot of these Fungus cards. If you're not familiar with the tribe within Magic, at the beginning of your upkeep, put a Spore counter on blank Fungus creature. That's pretty much what all of them do. Then once you remove those 3 Spore counters, you can create a sapling token, then sacrifice it. Each creature you control that's a Fungus or sapling gets +1/+1 until end of turn. So really the core concept with a lot of these Fungus creatures is that they're going to get Spore counters during your upkeep. You're going to be able to remove the Spore counters to create a sapling token, and then you're going to have some combination of sacrificing these little tokens to generate some sort of board state value. Whether that's, you know, pumping your entire board up. There's a black Fungus that can give a target creature -1/-1. And so basically what you're trying to do is just get a lot of saplings on the battlefield, and then get a lot of Fungus counters, and then just start going to town with these value activations. Now, one of the worst things for this deck is a board wipe, or something like Cyclonic Rift. So that's why I don't really play this deck too much, because it is, even though it is Atraxa, we've got Mana Crypt, you know, everything in here is very efficient. The overall game plan that we're going for is very fragile. You know, it's like Glass Cannon without the cannon. It's kind of like a glass pistol. So if you would have called it that, but it's still a lot of fun. So it just kind of depends on what you're playing against. Something like the Gitrog monster might actually help out, because the Gitrog is so kind of hyper focused on everything pertaining to Gitrog, that's going to give us a little bit of extra time to kind of set up our board state. So now, as far as next turn goes, we are hoping to hit a land drop. If we don't, we might end up Demonic Tutoring. And look at this value play with Realms Uncharted. This is just, hey, I need some lands. So let's go ahead, and we need to put 2 cards into the graveyard. Let's go ahead and put Wasteland into the graveyard. We'll see if they have Life from the Loam. If they do, so be it. But let's go and put Wasteland into the graveyard, and we're going to go put Deserted Temple into the graveyard, because they do have access to Gaia's Cradle. And with Deserted Temple, that's going to be 1 mana activation, untap target land. You know, they don't have a ton of creatures out there, but, you know, eventually, if you swarm the board with some creatures, Deserted Temple and Gaia's Cradle, it's kind of like coffers in mono black. It's not something you're really going to square up against. But yeah, as far as the actual Fungus deck, this is 100% Fungus. I mean, this is, in one of the downsides to playing such a heavy Fungus deck is we don't really have most of your building blocks in here, because you're trying to still make it efficient, still end up getting a semi-decent board state. And in fact, let's go and always yield to that. I doubt we're really going to need to sacrifice anything, so we'll just go and yield through the turn so they can do that. But yeah, this is definitely one of those decks to where we have such a heavy distribution of Fungus cards that if we go below that distribution of Fungus cards, or that core package of Fungus cards, that it really dilutes the strength of the deck. And so unfortunately that's going to be pretty much the powerhouse of the deck is just getting ahead on mana, ramping, and then getting these sapling tokens out, and seeing what sort of board state you can assemble. I mean, that's kind of so I have a Gov deck that I've never played online, and my Gov deck is only in paper. And me and my buddy, I have a couple different people that I play paper Magic with. I have a couple different people that I play paper Magic with. Sorry, I had to clear my throat for a second. And I'd always play my Gov deck at the end of the night, and we would have a couple drinks while we were playing. And the Gov deck was definitely one of the first commander decks that I ever built. And there's a lot of interactions when you're playing Fungus, upkeep, spore counters, and then eventually you get to this point where you just have so much, if nothing happens to your board state, it's very nice. You end up with this complicated board state that doesn't really do anything. And it just takes a lot of resources. So there'll be a lot of times where me and him been playing, and we're like, all right, one more game. I'm like, all right, let's bust out Gov. And he's like, you sure? I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Let's have some fun. So, all right, so opponent's going for squandered resources, so it's going to let them kind of get this resolved. We might be looking at some sort of mass reanimation with lands or something like that. So we'll see what else is going to be happening with this. And that's going to be a Rampaging Baloth. So whenever a land enters the battlefield, they're going to get a 4/4 beast token. Okay, so we do have definitely have a clock from our opponent, because if they decide to swing in with the Gitrog monster, we'll probably still end up blocking with one of the sapling tokens, simply because we're going to be able to keep getting it during our upkeep. And one of the good things is that these beast tokens will not have trample. So that kind of puts us on this 6/6 trample clock that we definitely need to watch out for. And that is going to be the only thing that we haven't seen from our opponent is going to be Life from the Loam. Goodness, that's a lot of fetch lands. If we get the Citizen Blessing, that might help a little bit. We might be able to double block on some of these beast tokens. But if they're going to get the option of playing lands out of the graveyard with the Zuza on the battlefield, that is definitely going to be very bad for us. But if you're a fan of Gitrog, this is definitely a good showing, especially something as simple as Rampaging Baloth. Getting to 6 mana is not that crazy. Your commander costs 5, and then just getting a reward for just doing what you normally would be doing, getting beast tokens on the battlefield. Yeah, you can see with that guy's cradle out there. That's some pretty good magic. They're already at it's only turn 4, and they're already at least 9 total mana between Overgrown Tomb and that guy's cradle tapping down. Okay, we got the entire Lands Matter crew. That's going to be Titania. That's going to return a fetch land to the battlefield, which is going to give them an extra token. And then once they crack that fetch, that's going to be another. Now, we do have one out, and that's going to be Damnation. If we can go for a Damnation, we might be able to kind of hit the reset. But like I mentioned, blowing up our board state is not the best. We still have Demonic Tutor. We also still have Fungal Rebirth. That's going to allow us to bring something back to our hand once it's happened. So if we need to end up going for Demonic Tutor, that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we almost need to rip a land off the top, because that's going to give us access to 6 total mana, and that'll allow us to go Demonic Tutor and Damnation. So, but our opponent's got a ton of cards in the hand. That's one of the downsides to playing against the Gitrog monster, is that you end up with these explosive board states, but at the same time, once these lands go to the graveyard, you're simply refueling your hand. So even if we do, there's prime time. It has officially gotten fun. The fun police is here. If you're wondering why is Primetime's ugly head showing up in this game of Commander, I thought he was banned. Hey, I agree with you. We're playing 1v1 Commander on Magic Online, which has a very slightly different ban list. And with Primetime is unbanned in 1v1 Commander. Now, if you're sitting there saying, why would they unban Primetime in 1v1 Commander? If it's banned in multiplayer format where there's 3 other people at the table that can deal with it, why is it legal in 1v1? And yeah, I don't know. It's a good question. We'll have to figure that out someday. But unfortunately, Primetime is unbanned in 1v1 Commander. And but hey, if you want to jam some Primetime at Commander, just see what it would be like. You can hop on Magic Online and play 1v1. But this is definitely I think we're getting to the hallucination part of the Gitrog monster. We have definitely descended into madness, what we've got going on over here. So in fact, I'm going to go and let them kind of work through this turn to see what sort of board state they end up developing. Okay, and then our opponent does have Crossroads. So that's going to give everybody haste. Unfortunately, if you're keeping score at home, we've only got 3 sapling tokens, and it's a lot of beast tokens. So we're going to go ahead and let them and let them close this one out. Good game to our opponent. They're going to be able to snag this one. Yeah, even if we block across the board, we're simply not going to be able to stop the onslaught that is all of the beast tokens and elemental tokens. So even next turn, we'd have to rip a land off the top of our library, go for Demonic Tutor. We might have a chance after that because that does put them down on lands, but our opponent had it on this one. And even insult to injury, they're going to get the primetime trigger coming across. So let them get these last couple lands on the battlefield and let them get in for this last alpha swing. Okay, so good game to our opponent. We go down to -56. So this just goes to show you how fun the Gitrog can be sometime. You know, being able to sacrifice your lands, add that mana to your mana pool, getting that extra card draw. Look at this. This is a thing of beauty. So if you enjoyed the video, hey, like and subscribe. Thanks. Bye.